Hi guys, welcome to this new video on how Amanda Nunes knocked out Holly Holm with that high kick. A bunch of you guys contacted me to ask for a technique analysis, so that's what I'll do. Now, a little bit of background first. So in the fight, what you normally see Holly do is she doesn't stand up as vertical as she does here. She usually leans a little bit more forward, and what that does is it plants her more heavily on her lead foot. Has advantages. It makes it easier for her to quickly throw her hands, which is what she likes to do. But it has disadvantages. It puts her head closer into range of her opponent. Now, she was very wary of Amanda's punching, obviously, because Amanda's been knocking out people left and right for a long time. And Holly's not stupid. She's boxed a lot. She's a championship level boxer, having multiple titles. So she knows very well that the hands of Amanda are dangerous. So what you saw her do in this fight, if you watch it again, you'll see that she stands up in a more vertical stance. She's a little bit inclined sometimes, but she's never in that leaning forward stance she usually uses. So that plays a big factor. That's a big factor in my opinion in this fight, is that I think she was a little bit less comfortable fighting from this fighting stance than she was because she couldn't do what she normally does. I think that plays a role in what I will explain next. So what happens here in this last phase before she got knocked out is that she is standing close to Amanda and she moves in with that big left hand, that big overhand left that she likes to throw. So she moves her head offline. That is fine. She's got a nice extension driving from her foot to her body towards that fist. So the power line is going really well. There's not much to say about that. However, Amanda is smart enough to recognize the punch coming in and she gets out of the way and doesn't get hit. Now, what happens next is critical. Now, look at the posture, look at the distance between Holly's feet, so that is important. Now, what happens is that Amanda's going to fire this right hand, but pull it at the last instant, so she doesn't really throw it, which means that she will still be in balance, and she's watching Holly the whole time. The way Holly reacts to that is by just slipping all the way off to her left and throwing her body weight all the way to the other side to escape that counter, to not get hit. Again, she knows that Amanda hits really hard. She tries to avoid that. So that is what happens next. As you can see in this next image, this is kind of where Holly ends up. So the frame here is pretty much just after Amanda pulled that right hand and she pauses. Now, I want you to pay attention to the stance that Holly is in here. She's pretty much in neutral here. She's in a bad position. Whereas Amanda can pretty much orient on her. Holly is not in a good position to strike. She's no longer standing in a solid fighting stance. But she managed to escape the dangers she perceived of that right hand coming at her. However, again, Amanda's not stupid. She's a high-level striker with lots of experience. So what happens next is that you'll see that Amanda is going to reorient. So this is the next thing that happens. I'm going to go back a little bit. This is the pulled punch. And what you'll see is Amanda's left foot is going to step towards the center of this line here that you draw when you look at Holly's feet here. So I'll go slow so you can see it. So there's a step forward that happens. Now, in the meantime, Holly is starting to shift a little bit more with her right foot, but that's what Amanda does. She is now fully oriented on, that's the wrong one. I need this one. So she's fully oriented on Holly and ready to attack. At this stage, she can throw whatever she likes. Now, Holly knows she's in danger. Look at the distance. Look at the distance between both feet. So Holly is in the danger zone. She is in striking distance, and Amanda has all her weapons aimed at her. She can kick with both legs. She can strike with both arms. She can do whatever she likes. So all the dangerous weapons are trailing Holly very clearly. The way she reacts by that, I think it was a mistake instinctively, is that when Amanda here throws that fake left hand, which doesn't really connect, you can see that Holly just transferred her way fully towards her left leg. Now that is going to immobilize her head and put it basically in a stationary position, as we will see later. So Amanda throws that fake left hand and doesn't really do much with it. But look at her posture here. She's in a stable posture. That right hand looks loaded and it looks like it's going to come at Holly again. And that is the genius, I think, of Amanda Nunes here in this fight, is that she doesn't throw that right hand. She waits. Here you can see that she pauses. So from this previous position, giving that fake left hand to get a reaction from Holly. And what does Holly do in reaction to get away from that right punch that might come at her? She raises her right leg in defense. So I wouldn't say this is wrong per se. Her head has moved a little bit backwards, so she is now out of range of those punches, which is a good reaction. However, what she will do as a mistake is keep this leg up too long and stay in this balancing position for too long, which is keeping her whole frame here, her whole body stationary. It's not, she won't be able to move until she puts this right foot back down again. Now, if you look at what you see here, this rectangle, that is like a heavy bag standing there in front of you. Obviously, Amanda knows this, so she's gonna power kick the hell out of Holly for that. Now, going back to the previous frame, so the left jab is thrown, and you can see that Amanda just pauses here, and she just looks at what's going on. The mistake that Holly makes, in my opinion here, is hesitating. If she hadn't hesitated, she had different options. She could have thrown the kick right away, that's one option, or she could have tried to post it down again and stomp on the floor to immediately pivot away or step back with that right leg and create distance, or gone off to another side. Different options, but hesitating is basically suicide against Amanda Nunes. So here we see that Amanda has recognized that Holly's head hasn't moved. So I'll put the circle here and go back a few frames. Hold on for a second. So here we see, so this is Holly. So notice where the circle is still at. So this is where she first evaded to. So this bottom circle here, I'm going to play it out and you can see how her head moves a little bit. See how she's pretty much always in the same position. And hold on. And here we are. So this is the moment that Amanda launches her kick. You can see that her head hasn't moved much. It's staying in this zone right here. And if you look at, I'm not going to rewind it again, but if you look at where she puts her left foot, that left foot hardly moves, which means that Holly has become a stationary target. She's a heavy bag to kick and punch as Amanda sees fit, which is what she does. Notice that she steps in with that left foot. That is going to load up that right leg. And you can see that she's going to torque as hard as she can into that high kick. Another point to pay attention to is Holly's left hand. It's low, so that means there's an opening. And against a high-level striker, you cannot leave an opening. I always tell my students, keep that hand high if there's no reason to keep it low. But at the very least, there is something in between your head and an incoming attack. Now, in this case, we might not assume that, you know, having her left hand high instead of low would have stopped that power kick, but it would have been better than nothing. We know what ended up happening when there was no protection at all next to Holly's face. So have a minimum of defense as much as you can. And this is just technique. You need to drill this. So what Holly finally decides to do is throw that side kick and just launch it and try to, keep Amanda away from her. But she's actually too late here. That short hesitation that happened, that's what's going to cost her. So what happens is that she extends that leg to kick, and Amanda is already on the way for her high kick. You can see that that leg is coming at high speed, and there's a clear path for her leg to travel towards the face. Again, notice the hand position. The path is wide open. Amanda cannot miss, and there's nothing obstructing that kick from landing fully. And I believe that's the unfortunate result is then for Holly is that she gets clocked by that kick. Amanda's a powerful kicker. She strikes really well. And Holly was pretty much out of it. I mean, she was tough. She wasn't fully knocked out. Amanda had to follow up on the floor, but she went down right away and was recovering. And obviously, Amanda Nunes is not the kind of person to let that kind of thing slide. So she finished the job right quickly. Again, main points are, in my opinion, that Holly was in a bad position to start. She overreacted on that feint that you see here. She launched her overhand left, and then she overreacted to a counter she saw, and then hesitated, keeping her weight on that left leg, standing stationary, and just presenting a target that Amanda checked out with that jab first, sees the reaction, knee comes up, and then she says, that's it, I'm going for it. She takes the opening that is right there, and then she lands the kick, and we're over and done with. So these kind of things happen at the highest level. I mean, just a fraction of an inch more or less sometimes is what spells defeat or victory. A little bit more leaning forward, a little bit more staying back. All these kind of things, they play a huge role in whatever success you have with a technique. So obviously Holly's not a bad striker. Obviously nobody says that, including me. She's a great champion. She's a great MMA fighter. But in this case, a small hesitation, in my opinion, cost her the fight, which is unfortunate. I like Holly a lot as a fighter. I would have loved to see a full fight out of her and Amanda. I think it was going to be interesting how that would have ended if this wouldn't have happened with this knockout. But we'll never know. So at this stage, all I can say is try to avoid hesitation. If you do hesitate, you find yourself hesitating, at the very least cover up. Don't leave your head wide open. And then try to get out of there right away. Recognize that you are hesitating and that you know that you need to act. Whenever you find yourself in a situation, in a fight or in sparring that you hesitate, immediately decide to act, whatever it is. You can make it a default that you step back, that you get away. You can make it a default that you try to close and clinch to cover up and have time to figure it out again. Some people have a default that they just strike. Whenever they hesitate, they just punch. Whatever, that's up to you. But do something. Recognize that you're just standing there, you're hesitating, and then at this distance that they found themselves at these ranges, what will happen is that the first guy to strike is going to land. And in this case, Amanda just nailed Holly with a perfect kick. All right, that's pretty much it, guys. So thank you for watching. Thank you again for the requests. Just you can follow us on facebook.com/MMA Formula with more videos and news and a bunch of techniques and other stuff there. Like, share, and subscribe, obviously, if you want to support the channel. And there will be lots more to come. Take care.